Trading in the zone. Master the market with the confidence and discipline and a winning attitude. Written by Mark Douglas, the author of Disciplined Trader. Dedication. This book is dedicated to all the traders that I have had the pleasure of working with over the last 18 years as a trading coach. Each of you, in your own unique way, is a part of the insight and guidance this book will provide to those who choose to trade from a confident, disciplined, and consistent state of mind. Forward. The great bull market is in a stock has lead to an equal great bull market in a number of the books published on the subject of how to make money trading the markets. Many ideas abound, some good, some not, some original, and some just a repackaging of early works. Occasionally, though, a writer comes forward with something that really sets him or her apart from the pack. Something special on such a writer is Mark Douglas. Mark Douglas in the Trading in the Zone has written in a book that is an accumulation of years of thought and research, the work of a lifetime, and for those of us who view trading as a profession. And he has produced a gem. Trading in the Zone is an in-depth look at the challenges that we face when we take up the challenge of trading. To the noise, the only challenge appears to be find a way to make money. Once the noise learned the tips, brokers and advice and other ways to justify buying and selling do not work consistently. He discovered that he either needs to develop a reliable trading strategy or purchase one. After that, trading should be easy, right? All you have to do is follow the rules. The money will fall into your lap. At this point, if not before, Noises discovered that trading can turn into one of the most frustrating experiences they will ever face. The experience leads to the oft-stated statistic that 95% of future traders lose all of their money within the first year of trading. Stock traders generally experience the same results, which is why the pundits always point to the fact that most of stock traders fail to outperform a simple buy and hold investment scenario. So why do people, the majority of whom are extremely successful in other occupations, and fail so miserable as a trader? All successful traders born on and not made? Mark Douglas says no. What's necessary, he says, that is that the individual acquired the trader mindset. It sounds easy, but the fact is this mindset is very foreign when compared with the way our life experience teaches us to think about the world. That 95% failure rate makes sense when you consider how most of us experience life, using skills learned as we grow. When it comes to the trading, however, it turns out that skills we learn to earn high marks in school, advance our career, and create a relationship with the other people, the skills we are taught that should carry us through life, turn out to be the inappropriate for trading. Traders, we find out, must learn to think in a term of probabilities and to surrender all of the skills that we have acquired to achieve in virtually every other aspect of our lives. In Trading in the Zone, Mark Douglas teaches us how. He put together a very valuable book, has sources or has own personal experience as a trader's coach in Chicago, author, and a lecturer in the field of trading psychology. My recommendation: enjoy Douglas Trading in the Zone, and doing so develop trader mindset. Don't hurt. Preface. The goal of any trader is to turn profit on a regular basis. Yet, so few people ever really make consistent money as a trader. What accounts for the small percentage of the traders who are consistently successful? To me, the determining factor is psychological. The consistent winner thinks differently from everyone else. I started trading in 1978. At the time, I was managing a commercial casualty insurance agency in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. I had a very successful career, thought I could easily transfer that success into the trading. Unfortunately, I found that was not the case. By 1981, I was thoroughly disgusted with my inability to trade effectively while holding another job, so I moved to Chicago, got a job as a broker with the Merrill Lynch at the Chicago Board of Trade. How did I do? Well, within the 9 months of moving in Chicago, I had lost nearly everything I owned. My losses were the result of both my trading activities and my exorbitant lifestyle, which demanded that I make a lot of money as a trader. From this early experience as a trader, I learned an enormous amount about myself and about the role of the psychology in the trading. As a result, in 1982, I started working on my first book, The Disciplined Trader, Developing Winning Attitude. When I began this project, I had no concept of how difficult it was to write a book or explain something that I understood for myself in a manner and a form that would be useful to others people. I thought it was going to take me between 6 to 9 months to get the job done. It took 7.5 years and was finally published by Prentice Hall in 1990. In 1983, I left Maryland to start consulting firms, trading behavior dynamics, where I presently developed and conduct seminar on trading psychology and act in the capacity of what commonly referred to as a trader coach. I have done countless presentations for trading companies, clearing firms, brokerage houses, banks, and investment conferences all over the world. I've worked at the personal level, one-on-one, and with a virtual every type of trader in the business, including some of the biggest floor traders, hedgers, option specialists, and CTAs, as well as new habits. As of this writing, I've spent the last 17 years 17 years dissecting the psychology and dynamics behind the trading so that I could develop effective methods for teaching the proper principle of success. What I've discovered is that at the most of fundamental level, there is a problem with the way we think. There is something inherent in the way our minds work that doesn't fit very well with the characteristic of shown by the markets. Those traders who have confidence in their own trades, who trust themselves to do what they needs to be done without hesitations, are the ones who become successful. They no longer fear the erratic behavior of the market. They learn to focus on information that helps them spot opportunities to make a profit rather than focus on the information that reinforce their fears. While this may sound complicated, that it's all boils down to learn to believe and one you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. Number 2, anything can happen. Number 3, every moment is unique, meaning every age and outcome is truly unique experience. The trade either works or it doesn't. In any case, you wait for the next edge to appear and go through the process again and again. With this approach, you will learn the methodological and non-random fashion what works and what doesn't. And just as important, you will build sense of self-trust so that you won't damage yourself in an environment that has the ultimate qualities the market have. Most traders don't believe that their trading problems are the result of the way they think about the trading, or more specifically, how they are thinking while they are trading. In this first book, Disciplined Trader, I identified the problem confronting the traders from the mental perspective, and then built a philosophical framework for understanding the nature of these problems, why they exist. I had 5 major objectives in mind in the writing Trading in the Zone. Number 1, to prove to the traders that more or better market analysis is not the solution to has trading difficulties or lack of consistent results. To convince a trader has attitude and state of mind that determine has results. To prove the trader with the specific beliefs and attitudes that are necessary to build a winner mindset, which means learning how to think in the probabilities. To address the many conflicts, contradictions, and paradox in the thinking that cause the typical trader to assume that he already does think in probabilities when he really doesn't. To take the trader through a process that integrate this thinking strategy into the has mental system at functional level. Note, until recently, most traders were men, but I recognize that more and more women are joining the ranks. In an effort to avoid confusion and awkward phrasing, I have consistently used pronoun he throughout this book. in describing traders. This certainly does not reflect any bias on my part. Trading in the zone presents a series of psychological approach to become consistent winner in your trading. I do not offer trading system. I am more interested in showing you how to think in the way necessary to become profitable trader. I assume that you already have your own system, your own edge. You must learn to trust your edge. The edge means there is a higher probabilities of one outcome than another. The greater your confidence and the easier it will be to execute your trades. This book is designed to give you the insight and understanding you need about yourself and the nature of trading, so that actually doing it becomes an easy, simple, and stress-free as when you are just watching the market and thinking about doing it. In order to determine how well you think like a trader, take the following attitude survey. There are no right or wrong answers. Your answers are indicates of how consistent your current mental framework is with the way you need to think in order to get the most out of your trading. Mark Douglas. Attitude Survey. Chapter number 1. The Road to Success, Fundamental, Technical, or Mental Analysis. In the beginning, fundamental analysis, who remember when fundamental analysis was considered the only real or proper way to make the trading decisions. When I started trading in 1978, technical analysis was used by only handful of traders who were considered by the rest of the market community to be at the very least crazy. As difficult it is to be believed now, it wasn't very long ago when Wall Street and most of the major funds and financial institutions thought that technical analysis was a form of mystical hoxpox. Now, of course, just opposite is true. Almost all experienced traders use some form of technical analysis to help them formulate their trading strategies, except for some small isolated pockets in the academic community. The purely fundamental analysis is virtually extinct. What caused this dramatic shift in a perspective? I'm sure it is not surprise to anyone that the answer to this question is very simple. Money. The problem with the making trading decisions from strictly fundamental perspective is inherent difficulty of making money consistently using this approach. For those of you who may not be familiar with the fundamental analysis, let me explain. Fundamental analysis attempt to take into consideration all the variables that could affect the relative balance and imbalance between the supply of and the possible demand for any particular stock, commodity, or financial instruments, using primarily mathematical model that weigh the significance of the variety of factors: interest rate, balance sheets, weather patterns, enormous others. The analyst project what the price should be at some point in the future. The problem with these models is that the way they rarely, if ever, factors in other traders or variable people expressing their beliefs and expectations about the future. Make prices move, not models. The fact that a model makes logical and reasonable projections based on all of the relevant variable is not of the much value of if traders who are responsible for most of the trading volume are not aware of the model or don't believe in it. As a matter of fact, many traders, especially those on the floors of the future exchange who have the ability to move prices very dramatically in one direction or another, usually don't have slightest concept of the fundamental supply and demand factors that are supposed to affect prices. Furthermore, at any given amount, much of their trading activities is prompted by response to emotional factors that are completely outside the parameters of the fundamental models. In other words, the people who trade and consequently move prices don't always act in a rational manner. Ultimately, the fundamental analysis could find that predictions about where the price should be at some point in the future is correct. But in the meantime, price movement could be volatile that it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to stay in a trade in order to realize the objective. The shift to technical analysis. Technical analysis has been around for long as there have been organized market in the form of the exchanges. But the trading community didn't accept technical analysis as a viable tool for making money until the late 1970s and early 1980s. And here's what technical analysis knew that it took the mainstream market community generations to catch on. A finite number of the traders participate in the market on any given day, week, and month. Many of these traders do the same thing, the same kinds of things over and over in their attempts to the making money. In other words, individuals develop behaviors, patterns, and a group of the individuals interacting with one another on a consistent basis from the collective behavior patterns. These behaviors patterns are observable and quantifiable, and they repeat themselves with the statistical reliability. Technical analysis is a method that organize this collective behavior into identifiable patterns that can give clear indication of when there is a greater probability of one thing happening and another over another. In a sense, technical analysis allow you to get into the mind of the market to anticipate what's like to happen next based on kind of the patterns that the market generated at some previous moment. As a method for the projecting future prices movement, technical analysis has turned out to be far surprise to purely fundamental approach. It keeps the trader focused on what the market is doing now in relation to what it has done in the past, instead of focus on what the market should be doing based on solely on what is logical and reasonable on as determined by the mathematical model. On the other hand, fundamental analysis create what I call reality gap between what should be and what is. The reality gap market is extremely difficult to make anything but very long-term production that can be difficult to exploit, even if they are correct. In contrast, technical analysis not only closes this reality gap but also makes available to traders and virtually unlimited number of the possibilities to make advantage of. Technical approach opens up many more possibilities because it identifies how the same repeatable behavior patterns occurs in every time frame, moment to moment, daily, weekly, yearly, and every time span between. In other words, technical analysis turns the market into the endless stream of opportunities to enrich oneself. The shift to mental analysis. If technical analysis works so well, why would more and more of trading community shift their focus from technical analysis of market to the mental analysis of themselves, meaning their own individual trading psychology? To answer this question, you probably don't have to do anything more than ask yourself why you bought this book. Most likely reason is that you are dissatisfied with the difference between what you perceive as the unlimited potential to make money and what you end up with on the bottom line. That's the problem with the technical analysis. If you want to call it a problem, once you learn to identify a pattern and read the market, you find there are limitless opportunities to make money. But as I'm sure you already know, there can also be a huge gap between what you understand about the market and your ability to transform knowledge into consistent profit or steadily rising equity curve. Think about number of times you have looked at the price chart and said to yourself, it looks like the market is going up or down, as the case may be. And what you thought was going to happen actually happened. But you did nothing except watch the market move while you anguish over all money you could have made. There's a big difference between predicting that something will happen in the market and think about all the money you could have made and the reality of actually getting into out of trades. I call these differences and others like it psychological gap that can make trading one of the most difficult endeavors you could choose to undertake and certainly one of the most mysterious to master. The big question is, can trading be mastered? Is it possible to experience trading with the same ease and simplicity implied when you are only watching the market and thinking about success, as opposed to actually having to put on and take off trades? Not only the answer an unequivocal yes, but that's also exactly what this book is designed to give you. The insight and understanding you need about yourself and about the nature of the trading, so that the result is actually doing it becomes as easy, simply, and stress-free, and when you are just watching the market and thinking about doing it. This may seem like a tall order, And to some of you, it may even seem impossible, but it is not. There are people who have mastered the art of trading, who have closed the gap between the possibilities available and their bottom line forming performance. But as you might expect, these winners are relatively few in numbers compared with the number of traders who experience varying degree of frustration all the way to extreme explorations, wondering why they can't create the consistent success they so desperately desire. In fact, the difference between these two group of traders, the consistent winners and everyone else, are analogies to differences between the earth and the moon. The earth and the moon are both celestial bodies that exist in the same solar system. So they do have something in common, but they are different in nature and characteristic as night and day. By the same token, anyone who puts on trade can claim to be a trader. But when you compare the characteristics of handful of consistent winners with the characteristic of most of other traders, you will find they are also different as night and day. If going to the moon represents consistent success as a trader, we can say that getting to the moon is possible. The journey is extremely difficult and only a handful of people have made it. From our perspective here on Earth, the moon is usually visible every night. It seems so close that we could just reach out and touch it. Trading successfully feels the same way. On any given day, week, or month, the markets make available vast amount of money to anyone who has capacity to put on a trade. Since the market are in constant motions, this money is also constantly flowing, which makes the possibilities for success greatly magnified and seemingly within your grasp. I use the word seemingly to make an important distinction between two group of traders. For those who have learned how to be consistent or have broken through what I call the threshold of consistency, and the money is not only within their grasp, they can virtually take it at will. I'm sure that some will find this statement shocking or difficult to believe, but it is true. There are some limitation, but for the most part, moon flows into the accounts of these traders with such ease and effortlessness, and that literally boggles most people's minds. However, for the traders who have not evolved into this select group, the word seemingly means exactly what it implies. It seems that as if consistency or ultimate success they desire is as at hand or within their grasp, just before it slips away or evaporates before their eyes. Time and time again, the only thing about trading that is consistent with this group is emotional plan. Yes, they certainly have moments of elations, but it is not exaggeration to say that most of the time they are in a state of fear, anger, frustration, anxiety, disappointment, betrayal, and regret. So what separates these two group of traders? Is it intelligence? Or the consistent winner just a plain smarter than everyone else? Do they work harder? Are they better analysts? Do they have access to better trading system? Do they possess inherent personality characteristics that make it easier for them to deal with the intense pressure of trading? All of these possibilities sounds quite plausible, except when you consider that most of the trading industry failures are also some of the society's brightness and most accomplished people. The largest group of the consistent loser is compared primarily of doctors, lawyers, engineers, scientists, and CEOs, wealthy retirees, and entrepreneurs. Furthermore, most of the industry best market analysts are the worst trader imaginable. Intelligence and good market analysis can certainly contribute to success, but they are not. The defining factors that separate the consistent winner from everyone else. Well, if it isn't intelligence and a better analysis, then what could be it? Having worked with some of the best and some of the worst traders in the business, and having helped me of the worst become some of the best, I can state without a doubt that there are specific reasons why the best traders consistently outperform everyone else. If I had to distill all of the reasons down to one, I would simply say the best traders think differently from the rest. I know that doesn't sound very profound, but it does have profound implications if you consider what it means to think differently to one degree or another. All of us think differently from everyone else. We may not always be the mindful of this fact. It seems naturally to assume that other people share our perceptions and interpretations of events. In fact, this assumption continues to seem valid until we find ourselves in a basic fundamental disagreement with someone about something we both experience other than our physical features. The way we think is what makes us unique, probably even more unique than our physical features do. Let's get back to the traders. What is different about the way the best traders think as opposed to how those who are still struggling think? While the markets can be described as arena of endless opportunities, they are stimulously confront the individual with the sum of the most sustained adverse psychological conditions you can expose yourself to. At some point, everyone who trades learns something about the market that will indicate when opportunity exists. But learn how to identify an opportunity to buy or sell does not mean that you have not learned to think like a trader. The defining characteristic that separates the consistent winners from everyone else is this. The winner have attend to mindset unique set of attitudes that allow them to remain disciplined and focused and above all confident in spite of adverse conditions. As a result, they are no longer susceptible to the common fears and trading errors that plug everyone else. Everyone who trade ends up learning something about the markets. Every very few people who trade ever learn an attitude that are absolutely essential to become a consistent winner. Just as a people can learn to perfect the proper technique for swing, swinging a golf club or a tennis racket, their consistency or a lack of it, well, without a doubt, come from their attitudes. Traders who make it beyond the threshold of their consistency usually experience a great deal of pain, both emotionally and financially, before they acquire the length of attitude that allows them to function effective in a market environment. The rare exceptions are usually those who were born into successful trading families or who started their trading career under the guidance of someone who understood the true nature of the trading and, just as important, knew how to teach. Why are emotional pain and financial disaster common among traders? The simple answer is that most of us weren't fortunate enough to start our trading career with the proper guidance. However, the reasons go much deeper than this. I've spent the last 17 years dissecting the psychological dynamics behind trading so that I could develop effective method to teach the principle of success. What I have discovered is trading is chock full of paradox and contradiction in thinking that make it extremely difficult to learn how to be successful. In fact, if I had to choose one word that encapsulate the nature of trading, it would be paradox. According to dictionary, paradox is something that seems to have contradictory qualities or the contrary to common belief or what generally makes sense to people. Financial and emotional disaster are common among traders because many of the perspective, attitudes, and principles that would otherwise make perfect sense that and work quite well in our daily lives and have the opposite effective in trading environment. They just don't work. Not knowing this, most traders start their career with fundamentals lack of understanding of what means to be trader, the skills that are involved, and the depth to watch those skills need to be developed. Here is a primary example what I'm talking about. Trading is inherently risky. To my knowledge, no trade has a guaranteed outcome. Therefore, the possibility of being wrong and losing money is always present. So, when you put on a trade, can you consider yourself a risk taker? Even though this may sound like a trick question, it is not. The logical answer to the question is unequivocally yes. If I engage in activity that inherently risky, then I must be a risk taker. This is perfectly reasonable assumptions for any trader to make. In fact, not only do visually all traders make the assumption, but most traders take the pride in thinking of themselves as a risk taker. The problem is that these assumptions couldn't be further from the truth. Of course, any trader is taking a risk when you put on trade, but that doesn't mean that you are correspondingly accepting that risk. In other words, all trades are risky because the outcomes are probable, not guaranteed. But do most traders really believe they are taking a risk when they put on a trade? Have they really accepted that a trade has not guaranteed probable outcome? Further, have they fully accepted the possible consequences? Now, the answer is unequivocal no. Most traders have absolutely no concept of what it means to be a risk taker in the way successful traders think about risk. The best traders not only take the risk, they have also learned to accept the embrace and the risk. There is a huge psychological gap between assuming you are the risk taker because you put on a trades and fully accepting the risks inherent in each trade. When you fully accept the risk, it will have profound implication on your bottom line performance. The best traders can put on trade without slightest bit of hesitation or conflict, and adjust as a freely and without hesitation or conflict. Admit isn't working. They get they get out of the trade even with the loss, or doing so doesn't resonate and a slight test a bit of emotional discomfort. In other words, the risk inherent in the trading do not cause the best traders to lose their discipline. Focus and sense of the confidence. If you are unable to trade without slight test, a bit of emotional discomfort, specifically fear, then you have not learned how to accept the risk inherent in a trading. This is a big problem because to whatever a degree you haven't accept the risk is the same degree to which you will avoid the risk. Trying to avoid something that is unavoidable will have deleterious effect on your ability to trade successfully. Learning to truly accept the risk in any endeavor can be difficult, but it's extremely difficult for traders, especially considering what's at stake. What are we are generally most afraid of besides dying or a public speaking? Certainly, losing money and being wrong both rank close to the top of the list. Admitting we are wrong and losing money to boot can be extremely painful and certainly something to avoid. Yet, as a trader, we are confronted with these two possibilities virtually every moment we are in trade. Now, you might be saying to yourself, apart from the fact that it hurts so much, it's natural to not want to be wrong and lose something. Therefore, it's appropriate for me to do whatever I can to avoid it. I agree with you, but it is this natural tendency that makes trading, which looks like it should be easy, extremely difficult. Trading presents us with a fundamental paradox. How do we remain disciplined, focused, and confident in the face of constant uncertainty? When you have learned how to think like a trader, that's exactly what you will be able to do. Learning how to redefine your trading activities in the way that allows you to complete accept the risk is the key to think like a successful trader. Learning to accept the risk is trading skill, the most important skill you can learn. Yet it's rare that developing traders focus on any attention or expend any effort to learn it. When you learn the trading skills of risk acceptance, the market will not be able to guarantee information that you define or interrupt as painful. If the information that the market guarantees doesn't have the potential to cause you emotional pain, there is nothing to avoid. It is just information telling you what the possibilities are. This is called an objective perspective, one that is not skewed or destroyed by what you are afraid is going to happen or not happening. I'm sure there isn't one trader reading this book who hasn't gotten into the trade too soon. before the market has actually guaranteed a single, or too late, long after the market has guaranteed a signal. What trader hasn't convinced himself not to take a loss, and as a result had it is turned into the bigger one, or got out the winning trades too soon, or found himself in the winning trades but didn't take any profit at all, and then let the traders turn into the losers, or moved stop losses closer to his entry point, only to get stopped out of and have the market to go back in his direction. These are but a few of the many errors traders perpetuate upon themselves time and time again. These are not the market guaranteed errors. These errors do not come from the market. The market is natural in the sense that it moves and guarantees information about itself. Movement and information provide each of us with the opportunity to do something. But that's all. The markets don't have any power over the unique way in which each of us perceive and interprets this information, or control of the decision and action we take as a result. The error I already mentioned and many more are strictly the result of what I call faulty trading attitudes and perspectives. Faulty attitudes that foster fear instead of trust and confidence. I don't think I could put the difference between the consistent winner and everyone also more simply than this. The best traders aren't afraid. They are afraid because they have developed attitude that give them the greatest degree of mental flexibility to follow in and out trades based on what the market is telling them about the possibilities from its perspective. At the same time, the best traders have developed attitude that prevent them from getting reckless. Everyone else is afraid to some degree or another. When they are not afraid, that they have tendency to become reckless and to create the kind of experience for themselves that will cause them to be afraid from that point on. 95% of a trading error you are likely to make, causing that money to just evaporate before your eyes. Well, steam from your attitude about being wrong, losing money, missing out, leaving money on a table. What I call the four primary trading fears. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I don't know about this. I have always thought traders should have a healthy fear of the market. Again, this is perfectly logical and reasonable assumptions, but when it comes to trading, your fears will act against you in such a way that you will cause the very thing you are afraid of actually happening. If you're afraid of being wrong, your fear will act upon your perception of market information in a way that you will cause you to do something that ends up making you wrong. When you are fearful, no other possibilities exist. You can perceive other possibilities or act on them properly, even if you did manage to perceive them, because fear is immobilizing physically. It causes us to freeze or run. Mentally, it causes to narrow our focus of attention to the objective of our fear. This means that thoughts about other possibilities as well as other available information from the market get blocked. You won't think about all the rational things you have learned about the market until you are no longer afraid an event is over. Then you will think to yourself, I knew that. Why didn't I think that of it then? Or why couldn't I act on that then? It's extremely difficult to perceive that the source of these problems is your own inappropriate attitude. That's what makes fear so insidious. Many of the thinking patterns that adversely affect our trading are a function of the natural way in which we were brought up to think and see the world. These thinking patterns are so deeply ingrained that it really occurs to us that the source of our trading difficulties is internal, derived from our state of mind. Indeed, it seems much more natural to see the source of problem as external in the market, because it feels like the market is causing our pain, frustration, and dissatisfactions. Obviously, these are abstract concepts and certainly not something most of traders are going to concern themselves with. Yet, understanding the relationship between belief and attitude and perceptions is a fundamental to trading as a learning how to serve is to tennis, or as a learning how to swing a club is to golf. Put another way, understanding and controlling your perception of a market information is important only to the extent that you want to achieve consistent results. I say this because there is something else about trading that is as true as statement I just made. You don't have you don't have to know anything about yourself or the markets to put on winning trade. Just as you don't have to know the proper way to swing a, a tennis racket or a golf club in order to hit a good shot from the time to time. The first time I played golf, I hit several good shots throughout the game, even though I hadn't learned any particular technique. But my score was still over 120 for 18 holes. Obviously, to improve my overall score, I need to learn technique. Of course, the same is true for trading. We need technique to achieve consistency, but what technique? This is truly one of the most perplexing aspect of learning how to trade effectively. If we aren't aware of or doing or don't understand how our belief and attitudes affect our perception of market information, it will seem as if it is the market's behavior that is causing the lack of consistency. As a result, it would stand to reason that the best way to avoid losses and become consistent would be to learn more about the market. This bit of logic is a trap that almost all traders fall into at some points, and it seems to make perfect sense, but this approach doesn't work. The market simply offers too many often complex variables to consider. Furthermore, there are no limits to market behavior. It can do anything at any moment, as a matter of fact, because every person who trades in the market variable. It can be said that any single trader can cause virtually anything to happen. This means that no matter how much you learn about the market behaviors, no matter how brilliant an analyst you become, you will never learn enough to anticipate every possible way that the market can make you wrong or cause you to lose money. So if you are afraid of being wrong or losing money, it means you will never learn enough to compensate for negative effect these fears will have on your ability to be objective and your ability to act without hesitation. In other words, you won't be confident in the face of consistent uncertainty. And the hard and cold reality of trading is that every trade has uncertain outcome. Unless you learn to completely accept the possibility of uncertain outcomes, and you will try either consciously or unconsciously to avoid any possibility to to define as painful. In the process, you will subject yourself to any number of self-guaranteed costly error. Now, I'm I'm not suggesting that we don't need some form of market analysis or a methodology to define opportunities and allow us to recognize them. We certainly do. However, the market analysis is not part of the consistent result. It will not solve the trading problems created by lack of confidence, lack of discipline, improper focus. When you appropriate from the assumptions that more or better analysis will create consistency, and you will be driven to gather as many market variables as possible into your arsenal of trading tools. But what happens then? You are still disappointed and betrayed by the markets time and again because of something you didn't see or give enough consideration to it. It will feel like you can't trust the market, but the reality is you can trust yourself. Confidence and fear are contradictory state of mind and both stem from our beliefs and attitudes. To be confident and functional in an environment where you can easily lose more than you intend to risk require absolutely trust in yourself. However, you won't be able to achieve that trust until you have trained your mind to override your natural inclinations to think in ways that are counterproductive to being consistently successful trader. Learn how to analyze the market behavior is simply not the appropriate training. You have two choices. You can try to eliminate the risk by learning about as many market variables as possible. I call this black hole of analysis because it is the path of ultimate frustration. Or you can learn how to redefine your trading activities in such a way that you truly accept the risk, and you are no longer afraid. When you have achieved a state of mind where you truly accept the risk, you won't have the potential to define and interpret the market information in a painful way. When you eliminate the potential to define the market information in a painful way, you also eliminate the tendency or realization, hesitation, jump to the gun, hope that the market will give you money, and hope the market will save you from your inability to cut your losses. As long as you are susceptible to learn of the errors that are the result of realization, justifying, hesitating, hoping, and jumping to the gun, you will not be able to trust yourself. If you can't trust yourself to be objective and to always act on your own best interest, achieving consistent result will be next to impossible. Trying to do something that looks so simple will be most exasperating thing you will never attempt to do. The irony is that when you have to appropriate attitude, when you have acquired as a trader's mindset and can remain confident in the face of consistent uncertainty, trading will be easy and simple as you probably thought it was when you first started out. So, what is solution? You will need you will need to learn how to adjust your attitude and belief about the trading in a such way that you can trade without the slightest bit of fear, but at the same time keep a framework in a place that does not allow you to become reckless. That's exactly what this book is designed to teach you. As you move ahead, I would like you to keep something in mind. The successful traders that you want to become is a future projection of yourself that you have to grow into. Growth implies expansion, learning, and creating a new way of expressing yourself. This is true even if you are already successful traders and are reading this book to become more successful. Many of new ways in which you will learn to express yourself will be direct conflict with the ideas and beliefs that you are presently hold about the nature of trading. You may or may not already be aware of something these beliefs. In any case, what you certainly hold to be true about the nature of trading will argue and to keep things just the way they are, in spite of your frustration and unsatisfying results. These internal arguments are natural. My challenge is in this book is to help you to resolve these arguments as efficiently as possible. Your willingness to consider that other possibilities exist, possibilities that you may not be aware of or may not have given enough consideration to, will obviously make the learning process faster and easier. End of chapter number 1.